If you've ever burned a candle for like 3 hours, did everything you were supposed to do, and it still ended up looking like a little volcano crater, it is best if you hear this because it might not actually be your fault. And I say might because sometimes it is. But there's something nobody tells you about that whole burn 1 hour per inch of diameter rule that's not just prevention advice. It is literally a test. If you burn a 3-inch candle for 3 hours and the wax still doesn't reach the edges, it is the candle that failed and not you. The real reason for this is that the wick is too small for the jar, and no amount of perfect technique is going to fix a design flaw. So if you're doing everything right and it's still tunneling, stop beating yourself up and stop buying from that brand. Now, the part that actually matters is that wax has memory. When you melt wax and let it cool, that melted area becomes softer than the wax around it. So the next time you light it, the flame takes the easy route and melts the soft center first because that needs less heat. The hard wax on the edges just sits there. And with every short burn you do, you're basically training your candle to keep tunneling. This is why the first burn is everything, because you're not just enjoying the candle, you're actually setting up how it's going to behave forever. When you miss that window, you will spend the next burn session trying to fix something the candle genuinely thinks is correct. With that information, now let's talk about how to fix the situation. The first method I'm going to discuss is the aluminum foil method, which involves wrapping a foil around the top of the candle, leaving a hole for the flame, and letting it burn for an hour or two. The foil will trap heat and melt the outer wax, and this method works. However, what nobody mentions is that if your candle is in cheap glass, this can be dangerous since cheap glass has tiny air pockets. So, if you trap all that extra heat, the pockets will expand and the glass will crack. So if you're going to do the foil method, don't leave the candle alone. And if the glass looks flimsy or thin, maybe skip this entirely. For the candles that are mild tunneling, like 1/2 inch deep, a hairdryer honestly works better anyway. Set it at a high heat, low speed, and blast the surface. Smooth it out, let it harden, and then burn it the right way next time. This way is less aggressive, has no trapped heat situation, and it handles early stage tunneling just fine. But here's the thing about depth. If it's under 1/2 inch, it's an easy fix. If it's like 1 or 2 inches deep though, you need to remove some wax first. Scrape it out or soak it up with a paper towel, because if you try to melt everything at once, all that wax pulls up, covers the wick, and drowns it. Then the flame dies, and now you've got a wick buried under wax that you can't even light anymore. The mistake people make is that they try the foil hack on a deep tunnel without prepping it first, then later complain that it didn't work. The thing that surprised me is that a candle maker said sometimes you shouldn't trim your wick before fixing tunneling. The logic is that you want a bigger flame to melt more wax, and trimming it down makes the flame smaller. So, for normal burns, you can trim it, but please don't use scissors or try to pinch the wick with your fingers. Get an actual wick trimmer, which cuts at the right angle and catches the burnt bits so they don't fall back into the wax. But if you're actively trying to rescue a tunneled candle, maybe leave it a little longer. Also, don't burn candles in freezing rooms because cold wax is harder to melt. Keep the candle away from drafts too, because if your flame is dancing around, it will cause uneven melting right there. And if nothing works, scoop out the wax and use it as a warmer. You'll still get the scent without the wick drama. Anyway, I will say that the real move here is prevention. In the first burn, ensure there is a full melt pool, edge to edge. If you don't have time for that, don't light it. Wait until you do. And every burn after, do the same thing. This keeps the candle trained right.